So whenever I'm making a video, I usually like to try and write down some of the points that I want to hit in that video. Today I woke up a little bit late and I wasn't able to do that, so I'm going to do this off the cuff, which I think that some people seem to like a little bit more. So I made a video about 4 or 5 days ago about hand catching the Mavic Pro, and a lot of people were wondering how I actually hand release it, so how I take off from my hand. So hopefully in today's video I can show you guys how I do that. I believe it's actually a lot easier than hand catching it, as there's pretty much 2 things involved, but there are a few things that you do need to be aware of. Now today I'm going to do the Mavic Pro, and then at a later date, probably in maybe a few days or maybe 3, I'm not sure yet, I'm going to do the Phantom 4 Pro. So if you have a Phantom drone, look out for that video. Now the first step is to obviously turn the drone on. I would recommend doing this while it's on the ground on a nice level flat surface. Don't be holding it as you turn it on, just so that the IMU and the gimbal can both calibrate smoothly. The next thing that we need to do is actually pick the drone up, and one thing you should be careful of is ATTI mode. Sometimes you pick it up in a fashion where you're covering up some sort of sensor or some sort of antenna, so be aware on your controller that it's in GPS mode rather than ATTI mode. Now, as far as how I actually hold the drone as I'm about to take off, usually I'll have a nice flat palm and sort of push my fingers downwards. This gives it a nice surface to rest on, and also make sure that my fingers don't get caught up in the motors or the spinning propellers, as well as that gimbal. I don't want to bump that, as it could throw it off balance. Now, as far as my arm goes, usually I'll put it in a 45-degree angle. Again, hold that palm flat and extend my arm to make sure that it's nowhere near my face, like the motors aren't spinning or anything like that. So let's get into an example so I can show you guys what I'm talking about. Alright, so again, I've got my arm extended out, bent at a 45-degree angle, also a flat palm with my fingers pointed downwards so they don't get caught up in the spinning motors. There we have it, guys. It's pretty simple. Now, another thing that I forgot to mention is how to actually take off. It is hard with one hand, and there are 2 ways you can go about it. Basically, you can do the way that I did, where you pretty much tap the button, slide across, and it takes off from your hand and will go to a slight hover. Also, you can do that thing where you actually push the 2 sticks inward, basically priming the motors, so that when it's sitting in your hand, the motors are spinning around, and from there you can take off and lift off. So let me land this, and then we'll go over a few more things. One more thing that I do want to mention is that as you take off, or as you prime the motors and it begins to take off, it kind of starts to shake around and you'll actually feel it pull up from your hand. You want to make sure you keep your balance and make sure it's balanced in your hand so that it doesn't fall off or out of your hand, which definitely wouldn't be good. In conclusion, I think that hand releasing the drone is a lot easier than hand catching it, although you do still have to be careful of the actual spinning propellers, as they could nick you on the fingers or the arm or anything like that, the face even, so definitely be careful. Now, down in the comments, let me know if you have any tips as far as hand releasing it. In my opinion, this is the easiest and safest way, and it's the way that I've done it pretty much ever since I've had my Mavic, but again, I always like to hear your guys' input. But guys, anyway, that about wraps up this video. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new around here, as I have been trying to upload daily, and as always, I'll talk to you later. Peace.